I have been selling this book, Zanazli and Wan Chun Hong's Guide to Indie Filmmaking, which is published by MPH for a while now. It's a really good book if you want to be a filmmaker, whether it's for YouTube, social media, TV, film, cinema, whatever. This is the book to get. I'm going to make it more accessible and more affordable to all of you because I believe that everybody needs to become a filmmaker. The more filmmakers we have in the world, I think this world will be a better place to live in. Now it's available as an electronic book download on my website. I'm going to link it here. It's really cheap, it's really affordable. It's only 5 ringgit if you want to get the ebook version. Okay, 5 ringgit. It doesn't really cost much, right? It's just a little bit of something for me. I mean, it did take a lot of work to write. Each chapter of this book talks about one part of the filmmaking process. And for each chapter as well, I interview a local filmmaker. It's only 5 ringgit. It's only 5 ringgit. Hi, you're watching and listening to the FAT BIDIN Film Club. I'm assuming you're Zan Azli. As usual, every week we watch a local film and we review it. And this week we're watching a local film and we're reviewing it. And the film is called Dongeng Sang Kancil. Wait. Okay, so we have watched Dongeng Sang Kancil. It's a less kopak production. They're famous for
Upin and Ipin.
I wanted to say Osama bin Ali.
No!
I don't know why I wanted to say Osama
That's Osama bin Zayed and a different cartoon.
He's not Osama bin Zayed. His name is Osama Zayed. People call him Zayed.
Oh, is it?
Perasaan kawan.
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it was a bin Zayed.
Alright.
Okay, anyway.
What is Dongeng Sang Kancil about? This movie. Wait. Did we say what they're famous for?
Upin and Ipin.
Upin and Ipin. Okay, go. What's it about?
It's about Sang Kancil. If you didn't know, Sang Kancil is a kancil, which is a mouse deer, right?
Oh, I always thought it was a car.
No. It's in this story anyway, it's a mouse deer.
It's a mouse deer, yes.
Mouse deer.
Yeah.
And
what did you think it was? What do you think a kancil was?
No, I know it's a deer, but I just wanted to make sure it was a mouse deer lah. But then what other deer is there here?
Because
only the mouse deer, right?
A deer forced itself onto a mouse.
No, it's important to specify.
And then came
what
out a
kind
mouse
of
deer.
You really like this dinosaur. I'm going to remove this dinosaur from the proximities of my shooting. Oh my god. Anyway. So it's about this. So yeah, again, if you all didn't know, Sang Kancil is like a very famous Malaysian children's story folktale.
Yeah, you've got your hikayat Sang Kancil, and it's
correct.
like a folk stories lah. Yeah.
It's very Malaysian. It's very, very Malaysian. It's about this very smart mouse deer that uses its wit to outsmart
bigger, stronger
predators.
Animals lah.
Essentially predators lah.
Yeah.
So this feature film was kind of a compilation of 3 or 4 of these stories. Okay,
really?
So there was the buaya one, then there was the elephant one, and then there was the
Harimau.
The harimau and the snake, not really so much. But yeah lah, a bit.
But I mean, it's loosely based on it.
Yeah.
Then they kind of like made a new story
like,
lah.
Because it got so many stories, they kind of like so they weave all of the predators into this one feature. Basically, so the plot of this Dongeng Sang Kancil is that there's a black shadow that kills its mother, and it then lives in the forest with the other forest animals, and it helps the other forest animals by outsmarting all these predators. But then Gaga says, I can bring you to someone who can bring you up the cliff where the mother died to find a black shadow, which is another predator. It's an eagle. So on the journey he meets all these like other predators lah, the buaya lah, the harimau lah, the snake lah, and then it finally reaches the eagle.
Yeah.
And then surprise, the eagle is actually out to get you.
Yeah.
And then the black shadow is revealed to be a black panther.
Correct.
And then and then the story basically goes as to how the Kancil fights the Black Panther.
And how he is able to unite all the jungle dwellers, all the animals in the jungle to fight the one common enemy. Yeah. So that's what
including the predators, the other predators.
Even the predators come together, to fight this one enemy.
Correct. So so that's the story. How do we feel about it?
So I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and the 90s. So I grew up with the very, 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 very popular cartoon series, the Sang Kancil cartoon series, which is considered to be Malaysia's first animated piece of work done by Hassan Muttalib. And when I was growing up watching these cartoons, and then eventually growing up and making friends with Hassan Muttalib is one of the most joyous things in my life, right? Because the cartoon series is great, and if you meet Pak Hassan is a great guy too. He's a very, very nice guy, and I've known him.
Funny.
I've known him for more than 20 years now, and he's very encouraging of young talents. And when I was a young talent, he's encouraging of young talents now, and so I love the cartoon series because I grew up watching it, right? And when you hear a movie coming out like Dongeng Sang Kancil, you kind of want to make comparisons, right? But of course, when you make comparisons, you're not going to compare how an animated film, feature film, is now compared to something that was done in the early 80s, right? It's going to be so different. I mean, the Sang Kancil series also, the stories the episodes were very short snippets, just a few minutes, right? Like 1, 2, 3 lekuk 3, 4. It's so great, Hey Sang Kancil, hey Kancil, apa kau nak buaya? It was great. And it's all about being kecil-kecil cili padi lah. You may be small, you're not physically strong, but you're smart and you win because of your wit.
So it's essentially our daughter.
Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah. And a lot of people say me.
Oh yes.
Oh.
I don't see it, but I see it in my child. But okay, anyway, and then.
But so after watching this film, though, I have to say that this film is a little bit weird for me. I understand in wanting to try to adapt the story to modern times, right? And you could see that Les Kopak really wanted to pull from a lot of other animated films. It had a character that seemed to be like Master Shifu in Kung Fu Panda.
The tupai.
Yes. You had another character who is obviously inspired by Mufasa from The Lion King. The bad guy,
that guy. Black Panther.
Even where the Panther lives also is Scar's dwellings, with all his other hyenas who follow him around.
But it's actually all Black Panther.
Yeah. A lot of the fight scenes and the action scenes remind me of those old 1990s Chinese and Japanese comic books that were adapted into Malay, like Dewa Permata, whatever. I forgot those comic books, those Malay comic books. It read of that. So I don't know. I just feel like the film is trying to copy all of this and then not becoming something unique. I do see some comparisons or analogies of politics in Malaysia. Different communities and ethnic communities, racial communities that feel apprehensive of each other, and then needing one common leader to unite all of them to fight a common enemy. Very, very Malaysian politics, But it wasn't enough to pull me into wanting to like the story lah, in liking the story. Because at the end of the day, I felt the story was very chaotic. There was no proper narrative in the storyline to actually tell a proper story. It was just scene after scene after scene of YouTube action scenes, like YouTube action animation. One thing about this film is it's 2D. Okay, it's not 3D, right? It's 2D. So I guess in that sense it was trying to be different in going back to 2D. But the story was horrible lah. I just felt the story was just so horrible because the characters like the Kancil and the proboscis monkey and all the bad guys, the Mufasa character,
The Mufasa Scar.
Scar character and Master Shifu all had no character really, no depth, no you didn't identify. They were like montages of what these people were doing. The whole movie is montages of what these characters were doing. You don't find any relatability to the characters. You don't identify with these characters. You don't feel for these characters. Nothing of that sort, right? And it was like as if it's trying to be like YouTube, but in a 1.5 hour film, which you cannot do because the YouTube format and the feature film format in the cinemas is totally different, right? So it did not work for me. Another thing that I thought also was that this movie was very evil. It was very evil in the sense that the only way...
That's so funny today.
Yeah, the only way to unite everybody and to come to like some sort of peace, right, is to kill and to fight. Every solution was to fight. So, you know...
And even in 2D, the fight scenes were like something else, yo.
I mean,
gory.
Before we get to the unnecessary goriness of the film, the violence in every decision making that these characters do, that the Kancil does and all these monkeys, all these characters decide to do, to me, I think it's very inappropriate, especially for children and in society in general. You know, because
extremist views.
Yeah, because the thing about Hikayat Sang Kancil, right, about the Sang Kancil stories, is all about morals. You
Using
learn.
your intelligence instead of violence.
Yeah, all these stories are out there to teach people to lead a moralistic life, a proper giving you a proper compass. These are folk stories, right? Folklores that is supposed to teach. A long time ago, it was supposed to teach children to teach people to make the right decisions. Right? Like, moral of the story, you do this and you're a good person. So that's what Sang Kancil has always been. But in this film, everything was about fighting and violence. He always chose violence to solve problems.
Not always.
Always.
But most of the time.
Yeah, which is fine. You want to make an action movie where bad guys fight good guys, it's okay. I mean, Disney does that too. But not in this sense. This movie is for me, I interpreted it as very violent. And then we go on to the gory nature of the fight scenes. Everything is so bloody. I know it's animation, but it's so bloody.
Literally bloody, okay? There's it's like scenes where the blood slow-mo splatters across the screen.
Out. And then
dang!
A tiger can use its claws and cut an animal into two, and you see the spine and the, chopping off heads and all that, right?
Yeah. I mean,
is it
shit right there?
It's okay to have this kind of format, right? Like Quentin Tarantino does it with Kill Bill and all that,
But not in a children's animation. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's very Happy Tree Friends, not so much.
Yeah, and it's okay to have animated films and story that is targeted for adults, like South Park and all that kind of thing. Happy Tree Friends and all that. It's totally fine if you market it this way, but I don't know. Can we check what rating the LPS
It's under 12.
It's under 12?
Yeah, it's because it came out on the screen. This show is appropriate for under 12.
Because I would not want to bring my young children to watch it. I wouldn't bring my young children. I'll bring my teenager to watch it. And
she'll be bored as hell.
But no, I mean, we went to watch this film at night, right? Towards the end of the school holidays, right? We saw some people bringing their kids. The kids were excited to watch it. But there was one father, when I went to the toilet during the middle of the movie, right? There was this one father who just stepped outside and started walking around the foyer of the cinema.
Yeah.
And then he was saying like, boring here. So, I don't know.
But the kids were not excited in a good way. I thought they were just overstimulated.
You've overstimulated.
Yeah, because they were
watching
like
YouTube
jumping on
videos
the
lah.
seats and screaming at the
Correct.
screen, and like it was clearly not the.
Yeah.
They were engaged in a very
It's like watching.
negative way.
It's like watching Powerpuff Girls instead of Charlie and Lola. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Fine, Powerpuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know, Powerpuff. What I mean is Powerpuff Girls is very an overstimulated show. Yeah.
Okay, so I agree with most of your points. Very in-depth analysis. Today very funny. So funny.
What's funny?
You lah. Anyway, today lah.
Why?
I
I
don't know.
lost one of my best friends
Because you said
yesterday.
it's weird.
I lost one
I
of my.
didn't expect you to say it's weird. You never say it's either good or bad or terrible or whatever, but you never use weird. And then, like this film, I didn't think was like so weird. Anyway, coming back to the review. Okay, so I like the way that it looked. I have to say, minus the gory parts, because I really didn't. I don't know. I didn't like you. I didn't really appreciate that particular like element of the show. Because again, it was marketed as a children's show. If this was marketed as like an above 13 show
Above 18,
or whatever,
really.
I would have been okay. But you know, children were watching this, and it was very like you brought up Disney also, right? Disney has standards for how they portray like
Violence.
violence.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you cannot like
You don't
you
see.
cannot kill the person like
Yeah.
so
You don't see Maui using his
Nah,
hook to like
slasher
chop off
things,
people's
yeah.
heads. You know.
So it was just like not yeah lah, it was not, I don't know, it was definitely not appropriate for children is how I feel. I did like the way that it looked. I really liked the 2D style because I think in the 90s when I was a child, that's what the Sang Kancil books look like. The drawing of it and everything look like that. So it was nice to see my children's storybooks, like my childhood storybooks, like come to life lah. For me, that was exciting. But everything else about it was quite annoying, honestly. You talked about the characters just now, right, and how they're not developed and everything. But not only are they not developed, right, but they are so cartoonish. Like really, like it's like really snippet came out of the book. They say like this line like "Kacil, tolong kami" or whatever, and that's exactly what the character is like. But like on print versus screen, you need to develop it a little bit more lah, because it doesn't really work. So and then I kept reminding myself like in the early when it started already, it was already like that. Okay, like even the predator that comes is like so like really very kind of like, oh, aku gajah and I will step on all of you, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my god, this is like so much a cartoon. And then I kept reminding myself, it is a cartoon, it's an animation, it's for children.
Yeah.
And then towards the end I was like, no, this is not for children.
No, but today also animation needs to be based on some reality lah. Children are not that stupid anymore.
Yeah.
Like you know how the elephant, we all know elephants suck up water in their trunks, store it in the trunk, and then squirt it out to drink or anything else, right? In this cartoon, the elephant sucks up the water, and his body bloats up to hold the water.
Yeah.
Bodoh ke apa?
Yeah, to fight the forest animals.
The water is stored in the trunk.
And then in the end, they use an ant, right, to fight the elephant. But the ant is in the trunk, and then he's like, oh, he cannot get it out. And we were like, why not? Just
Blow lah your nose.
blow out water.
Yeah, squirt in some water and blow it out.
So
Right.
anyway, okay lah. So I was struggling, and then yeah. So there were only two things that I liked about it. I liked how it looked, but I didn't like how it sounded and everything. I liked how it looked and moved, but I didn't like how it sounded. But I also liked the music that they used in the film, because they're all original like music, right? And then they use all this like kind of like decay, like the bad guy has a decay. So it's like a villainous like decay, and I really like that song. I think that was my favorite song. And throughout I thought the music was very Malaysian, very like like Malaysian sounding and very like just very nice lah. It was just very local. It was so local, and it didn't feel like the music was copying anything else. It was just very rooted in Malaysian sound. It sounded so Malaysian, and I really enjoyed that.
It's better than the movie Mufasa lah by Disney.
Yeah,
the
oh my
music
god, what the hell is the
Mufasa
music?
also
in
not a
that?
very good
Let's
movie.
not even talk about that. Yeah, so those were the only two things I like. I like how it looked and I like how it sounded, music wise. But the rest of it was I'm not sure weird was the word lah, but definitely not
Good.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Not appropriate for kids.
Not appropriate in general lah.
I think by the time you notice this violence thing about the choices that they were making, I was already conditioned to the fact that the characters are all one-dimensional, and thus they only have like one plot line. So when
As in a different task?
No, all of them.
Different task.
So like when all of them were choosing violence, I was like, yeah lah, this matches to their singular-minded plotline lah, like no evolution one.
But what's sad about it is because Sang Kancil is supposed to represent like Malay tradition, Malay customs, right? And everybody is always trying to say that Malays are not violent people, we are not. But in this movie, every decision is violence.
You know what this movie is? It's Animal Makilau.
Ah, yes!
When I was watching the end where he was like talking to the villagers and talking to the animals, it came to me already. I was like, it's Animal Makilau. So there you go. So would you tell people to go watch Animal Makilau?
I would say give this one a miss. I would really
For
tell
the sake
people
of your children.
Yeah, don't watch. I
Don't
would
bring
say
your
don't
children.
watch it.
Don't bring your children.
And the thing about it is, right, let's go back. When they came out with their first movie, Gang, the movie, right, it's about Upin and Ipin. That was a wonderful movie. I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was really good. I mean, every movie after that they made about Upin and Ipin started becoming bad and bad and bad and bad. Even the TV series, I don't really like the TV series. You know, I mean, you look at a movie like Agent Ali, right, and a series like Agent Ali. Yeah, it's fighting bad guys too. You know, superheroes fight also. But it's not evil and violent like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
There's no narrative is the problem. There's even the last thing that we saw, the Keris film, and the other Upin and Ipin film we saw, they're very rooted in agenda. It's pushing an agenda, which for me I feel is the Malay agenda. You know, all of the films, whatever characters, the messaging is the same. There's no like narrative for you to really follow and for you to be invested in. So like Agent Ali, for example, the movie, right? There was this entire it's about him, feeling like he's being surpassed as a agent, and you know he's always messing up. But it's also following this young boy who's missing his mother, who died and doesn't have. You know, and there's this whole like
got depth,
this
you know.
whole this layer to like you know, he's yearning this connection with his mother that he goes and sees. He meets this person who is friends with his mother, and thus he follows her and then he has to choose between like right and wrong and and then there was this like, it builds up to this whole thing about how he just really misses his mother, and then all of us are crying, you know. And then same with Meka Mata also, it's about this this boy and this robot who don't get along, and then they have to figure out how to like work together to defeat a greater evil, which is a simple plot line, but the relationship in the way that they do it is so layered and so much more than just good versus evil, you know. And the character that they develop also has like a human element to it, where you make mistakes, you make wrong choices, but you find a way to come together after that. None of this exists in this film.
It's not the Kancil movie is not a very intelligent film lah. And just because
ironic considering who it's supposed to be about.
It's supposed to be about a smart animal, right? But the movie's not smart at all.
So don't watch it lah. Don't watch it. Don't bring your kids. Definitely do not bring your kids to see things get severed in half. Good luck putting them to sleep after that if you do decide to not heed our advice.
Okay.
So
let's know what you think. Right? Really
Yeah.
let us know what you think.
Fight us if you must.
Yeah, so like this video, don't like this video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on all our social media platforms at FAT BIDIN, or go to fatbidin.com to get everything. You've been watching and listening to the FAT BIDIN Film Club. I'm assuming I'm Zan Azli.
And I am sure it was on.